Proctor will forever be remembered as one of the most corrupt police officers that I have ever encountered in my lifetime. Oh my god! This is just like one nightmare after another. Oh, so finally he admits he's talking about her. Come on, guy. Just let us do our job, guy. Please.
That's how you make a case cut and dry, isn't it?
Oh!
Objection.
Sustained.
Oh my god, yes! 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 You make a case cut and dry, you charge the girl no matter what. Who cares about the termination? Who cares about the facts? Who cares about the evidence? You don't have the evidence, plant it. You don't have the facts, make them up. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to your favorite show on the internet, Raw Law Unfiltered, with your favorite host of all time, the DUI Guy Plus. Today, we are going to continue with episode 6 of Trooper Proctor and his cross-examination by none other than Alan Jackson, one of the defense attorneys on the Karen Reed case. Now, today is day 5 of the deliberation of the jury in the Karen Reed case. I don't know if we have a decision yet or not, as this is obviously pre-recorded over the weekend. And I guess we'll see. Hopefully there is no more deliberations tomorrow, which then that would be day 6. I don't know if we have a verdict or if the judge has dismissed all of them and declared a mistrial in a hung jury. But let me tell you folks, one thing I do know for certain. This man is nothing but lying scum. And we are going to witness more of his manipulations and machinations in the Karen Reed investigation. Now remember, Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, the one who should have set the stage for this case, normally called first, second, or third to kind of give the jury a synopsis. Because of all the lies and the planting of evidence that has happened in this case, he was called as one of the last witnesses in the Karen Reed case. Now, of course, we can't prove it in any way, shape, or form, but I wouldn't put it past him to have been listening and or watching the testimony of all the other witnesses just to make sure he's on the right path, just to make sure he doesn't misspeak. There was a question, of course, a couple of times Alan Jackson tried to pin the tail on the donkey, try and get him to admit that you have been watching testimony in this case, and both times he denied it. So, take it with a grain of salt. I don't believe anything this man says. But with that in mind, let's go.
Let's talk about Brian Higgins for a second. You know that name?
I do, sir.
You personally interviewed Mr. Higgins, correct?
Sergeant Buchanan and I did, yes.
You keep adding other people into the interviews. I'm asking what you did, not what you and somebody else did. Did you personally interview Brian Higgins?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes, I did.
He's a fellow law enforcement officer, and you knew that, right?
Yes.
He was a colleague of yours, correct?
He worked in a different agency, yes.
You waited until February 10th to conduct a pre-scheduled interview with Mr. Higgins, didn't you?
Yes.
And you interviewed him in the presence of his attorney, correct?
Correct.
He told you that he was engaged in a flirtatious relationship with Miss Reed?
He did.
As a matter of fact, he told you that he was engaged in a flirtatious relationship with Miss Reed over text messages, but on at least one occasion that resulted in a kiss, correct?
Yes.
And then he also told you that he had taken the liberty to extract certain conversations from his own cell phone, right?
Correct.
And he brought you a hard copy of those text messages, right?
He did.
And you knew that those text messages were messages that he curated to give to you, right?
Yes.
He's the one that made the determination of what was important, what was not important to give to you, his interviewer, right?
Objection.
Was that your understanding, Trooper?
It was my understanding Mr. Higgins was being very forthcoming by providing those messages.
Oh, really?
It's not uncommon for witnesses to take screenshots or send us emails or send us text messages, so he just had a different means of producing text messages.
Well, you were actually asked that question in a different proceeding, under different questioning, and you were asked whether or not in your career as a law enforcement officer has any person or witness ever brought a self-extraction of text messages to an in-person interview, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Correct. Most
And your answer was, Trooper Proctor, you had never experienced that in the history of your career, correct?
Correct.
So you became aware pretty early on that Mr. Higgins at least had a motive to want to visit harm on John O'Keefe, correct?
Objection.
Oh.
I'll allow it.
No, absolutely not.
Well,
What?
you knew he had this flirtatious
But
relationship
romantic.
with Karen Reed. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yes.
You became aware that he ignored, you saw the text messages, you became aware that Karen Reed actually ignored text messages from Mr. Higgins while at the Waterfall Bar and Grill with John O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No objection.
Yes.
And you're aware that at 12:20 a.m., Brian Higgins sent a text message to John O'Keefe coaxing him to 34 Fairview, correct?
Coaxing.
Objection.
I'll see you at sidebar on this.
Hey. Oh, Judge Bev definitely doesn't like something about this, does she?
May I inquire? Yes. Thank you. You're aware that at 2:20 a.m., Brian Higgins sent a text message to John O'Keefe prompting him to go to 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
Objection.
I'll allow that one. Go ahead.
I don't recall that text.
Do you recall
Of
a
course
text
you don't.
from
Of
Brian
course you don't
Higgins?
remember anything that doesn't help you in the conviction of Karen Reed. Typical police officer, just lying about anything. I don't remember, I don't recall. Just, scum.
To John O'Keefe after they left Waterfall. Where are you at?
I don't recall that one either.
You also recognized that Brian Higgins certainly had the means to commit the crime, correct?
No, I don't.
He's a big guy. Certainly had the physical ability to get into a physical altercation with John O'Keefe, correct?
Yeah.
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Stop objecting, Lally.
Just because he's a big guy doesn't have the means or the motive to hurt Mr. O'Keefe.
Yeah, the means
I
and
asked
the
They were
motive.
friends.
I wasn't asking about motive. I'm asking about means.
Means.
Could he do it? Could he throw a punch? Knock a guy down, knock a guy out?
I can't speak to his fighting ability, sir.
Well, you've met him, right?
Yeah.
Now, one interview, yes.
Yeah, he's huge. Do you agree?
Objection.
Sustained.
I mean,
He's a big dude, right?
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Bigger than me, right?
Yeah.
Bigger than you.
Yep.
You knew that he was former military
I did, yes.
and is a trained ATF agent, federal agent, right?
Yes.
And you were in possession of video surveillance from the Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
Yes.
And literally in the minutes before John O'Keefe's death, you saw video surveillance of Brian Higgins and Brian Albert taking fighting stances with one another, correct?
I interpreted that as horsing around.
I didn't ask you how you interpreted it, Trooper Proctor. I asked you if you saw it.
yeah.
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you see it or not?
I did.
And what you saw was these guys taking fighting stances, correct?
Objection.
Is that what you saw?
Playful fighting stances.
But you waited until February 10th to interview him, correct?
Yes.
And you decided not to image his phone. Is that right?
Correct.
You didn't ask for consent to search his phone or to take his phone, correct?
No.
You didn't seek a search warrant to get his phone. Is that right?
No, sir.
Did you know that
Wow.
on January 29th at 2:22 a.m., there
By
was
the
a
way,
call?
notice how Jackson kind of paused there for a minute. He realized he was moving a little too fast and he needed to give the jury just enough time to digest that one fact. Because that was huge. Huge. That he never actually sought a search warrant to search the man's phone. There could have been incriminating evidence there, and he never checked. Why? Brother in blue. Tall blue wall, as Jackson said in his closing very aptly.
Between him and Brian Albert that morning?
I was not aware of that.
Might have been important to your investigation, don't you think?
Yeah.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Depends what I don't know what the call was
I'm
about.
sorry, finish that. Depends.
I don't know what the call was about. I don't know if they actually connected and communicated what the length of the call was, so.
Right.
But by the way, also notice the jury may not understand. No offense to them, they're not, trained in legal education. They're not trained in. They don't have legal minds. They don't have a legal law degree or anything like that. But the amount of objections that Lally has, that should arise at least a little bit of suspicion because Jackson is asking really good questions, and I'll grant that at least a couple of them were not proper. But for the most part, he's asking very relevant information, and Lally does not want Trooper Proctor admitting some of these things. So he's trying to do a blanket objection to see if Judge Cannoni will just take his side and exclude the questions that he's objecting to that Alan Jackson is asking. It's really slimy, really sleazy, dirty prosecutorial work. Because a lot of these questions are very, very relevant. And they're very, very good. But for some reason, they just won't let them. They just won't let them in. It's absolutely unbelievable, folks. Absolutely unbelievable.
And you never asked, did you?
I was unaware that call took place.
And you were unaware that that call took place because you didn't get his phone, Trooper Proctor, right?
Typically, we don't get witnesses' phones, sir.
You were unaware
Yes, you do.
of that call at that time because you didn't seek his phone, correct?
Objection.
Overruled.
Come on.
Correct.
There you go. See, was that so hard? Just admit it. Slimy little...
The medical examiner notified you on April 28th, 2022, that the manner of death, in her words, could not be determined. Is that right?
Yes.
She would not rule, at least in terms of the manner of death, would not rule this a homicide. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you agree that that's obviously a pretty significant finding.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
It's a good question. Is it significant?
Her finding doesn't alter how we conduct our investigation, whether if it's undetermined or ruled a homicide. We're still going to continue to investigate one way, regardless of her determination.
You obviously were not pleased with that You were not pleased with that determination.
Looks
right?
like one of the jurors dropped something.
It didn't matter one way or the other because, like I said, we continue on with the investigation.
On April 28th, that same day, you received a text message from Trooper DeChico, correct?
Yes.
You turn to tab 11, please.
What's the ID number?
This is 2618. I'm sorry, tab 11
Triple
is
F.
GGG. Triple G is in golf. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Do you have that in front of you, Trooper Proctor?
I do, sir.
You turn to page 2618. Do you see a text message received from Trooper DeChico with a photograph of the autopsy report?
Yes.
And that autopsy report indicates undetermined. Is that right?
For manner, yes.
In response, you wrote a text message to DeChico, correct?
I did.
What was your response?
Of course, it's undetermined.
And then what else did you write?
She was a whack job.
Oh my God.
Of course it's undetermined. She was a whack job, right? Those are your two responses, correct?
Yes.
You were talking about Dr. Scortibello, the female medical examiner who came to the determination that this was undetermined in terms of the manner of death, correct?
I'm not sure who I'm referencing as far as she was a whack job, but the of course it's undetermined is a sarcastic response from me.
Okay, first of all, is this guy really trying to backpedal that he is calling the medical examiner a whack job? And second of all, why does this man have to inject himself with his own personal bloody opinion about every single person who has a part in this case? I mean, can he conduct an unbiased investigation for 5 freaking seconds? Apparently not.
The reason you referred to Dr. Scortibello as a whack job is because the cut and dry case that you had hoped for wasn't really going your way, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
When you referred to she's a whack job, were you referring to Dr. Scortibello?
I don't recall.
Were you displeased with the undetermined finding instead of a homicide finding because that was an obstacle in your investigation?
Objection.
You can break that down.
Were you displeased about the undetermined finding?
No.
would you have rather had
But
a
he just
determined
admitted to
finding
it.
that it was a homicide?
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter to my office. We still investigate the same exact way if it's ruled determined, undetermined, or homicide.
Well, then why would you say, of course it's undetermined? She was a whack job, sarcastically.
It was a
I
sarcastic
mean, for
remark.
the first time in this trial, we even see Judge Beverly Cannoni. Auntie Bev. Look at her, like, disgruntled face. Like, she is very unhappy with this trooper herself. She even turned her chair in his direction. When was the last time she did that to a witness in this trial? I'm almost impressed with you, Auntie.
Like I made to Trooper DeChico.
Right, which sort of suggests displeasure
Yeah.
rather than the reverse, correct?
Objection.
Oh, the number of objections from Lally is getting so frustrating.
You'd agree that it's extremely unusual for the manner of death to be undetermined in a homicide investigation you've worked on, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why
How many
is
murder
that
cases in the history of your career have you worked on in which the medical examiner made the determination that the manner of death could not be determined?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
I wouldn't feel comfortable putting a number on it. It's not a lot. I couldn't ballpark it for you, but I know it's not a lot.
Well, Trooper Proctor, you were asked this exact question
Oh.
in February of 2024
Uh-huh.
at the
Federal
at
investigation.
another proceeding. And you indicated that you had never seen it in your entire career, correct?
Oh. So he's lying, prior inconsistent statement, impeaching a witness. Do you need to see it, Mr. Proctor?
I'm trying to run it.
Well, you were asked the question, so first, what do you mean by, of course it's undetermined? And your answer was, I said it at the time, it was kind of like, not like figuratively, of course, it's an of course, like I had never really seen that before in a homicide, end quote. Correct?
Yes.
Your statement in February of 2024, under oath, was you'd literally never seen that in any homicide you've ever worked, right?
Yes.
Oh, snap.
After she reached that conclusion, you discussed this with one of your colleagues about how you tried to put pressure on her to change her or alter her opinion, correct?
Oh my God! What?
I'll allow it. Is that
that
what
right?
you did?
Pressure? Absolutely not.
Let's turn to tab 12.
What? Are you
What's this for
serious?
identification? Is do
He tried to
I'm just
influence
checking.
her
This is HHH as in hotel.
and coerce her into finding and changing her finding from undetermined of this whack job who can't
Your Honor,
do
for this
her
one, may I
bloody
publish?
job in the way that I want her to do the bloody job and mark it as a homicide for my needs? Hey, woman, fix it. Oh, those darn pesky medical examiner women, they can never get their job right, can they? Arr.
so I've got them mismarked. What's the bottom? What's the bait
Sure,
stamp
it's
number?
2632.
Oh, he needs a sip of water, by God.
Why don't you come to sidebar for
I'm
a
sorry,
minute,
it's,
please?
the face page is 2628. Maybe that helps.
Okay,
Got
okay.
it? Within that packet, we'll turn to 2632.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. To begin with, Trooper Proctor, do you recognize the face page of that series of text messages in tab 12?
Yes.
Is that text messages between you and Trooper DeChico, one of your colleagues?
It is, yes.
Turn to page 2632, if you wouldn't mind. Tell me when you're ready.
Go ahead, sir.
Trooper DeChico texted you, rookie move, not going into a meeting with the ME and getting that homicide determination, correct?
Oh my
Yes.
God. Rookie move, not going into a meeting with the medical examiner and getting that homicide determination. Basically saying, oh, Trooper Proctor, all you had to do was go in when she was doing her investigation and being like, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Mark it as a homicide. I think I know who did it. Rookie move. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is just like one nightmare after another.
How did you interpret that? Rookie move, not getting that homicide determination.
Knowing Trooper DeChico, it's him busting my chops and joking with me.
Because you see it as your job, you and Trooper DeChico, to go in and get the homicide determination. That's your job, right?
Not at all, sir.
Oh.
You're not looking so much for her opinion as looking to give her your opinion.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely not.
Yes.
You responded, Yuri and I, who's Yuri?
Sergeant Buchanan.
Yuri and I had 2 conference calls with her, sent her numerous photos, etc. We laid out the entire case for her. That was your response,
We
correct?
laid out the entire case for her, and this stupid whack job, as they called her, still can't give us what we want. Like, what is wrong with her? That's what they were saying. Everybody knows this now. Good grief.
Yes.
You were explaining how
How can
much
you talk about
effort
people
you
like
went to try to get her to change your opinion to homicide, right?
Objection.
It's true.
No, not at all.
Liar.
DeChico then responds, not good enough.
Not good
Should have
enough.
had me and Jeff do it, right?
Yep.
Yes, that was his response.
Another cop.
Busting your chops that you didn't meet the standard of getting her to change her mind to make it a homicide, right?
Oh.
That's what he was. That's what he was busting your chops about.
We would never try to change the mind of a medical examiner. The doctor who conducts the autopsy often has questions. They want to know the facts, kind of what had transpired leading up to a victim's death. It happens not only in homicides, but the unattended deaths we also attend to, a suicide and overdose. So it's common to have these conversations with doctors.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but not in this case because she's a web
response
job
to
and she gave you an undetermined
Getting
answer.
the information that she made the determination and held on to it, that this was undetermined, your answer was, of course it's undetermined. She was just a whack job, right?
With sarcasm.
Oh, so finally he admits. Finally, because up until this point he would not admit he's talking about her. Now he finally admits, oh, it was just sarcasm. Oh, don't worry about it, buddy. Oh, I was just being sarcastic. Oh, us cops, we're always making fun of defense attorneys and we insult crime, people who have allegedly committed crimes, and we use horrendous words against people we want to throw under the bus, whom we don't care about, who are not part of the McCabe or Albert family. Oh, you know us. We're just joking around about medical examiners who are not giving us what we want. Come on, guy. Just let us do our job, guy. Please.
Ultimately, did the doctor change her opinion?
No.
But the determination of the medical examiner, that didn't matter to you, right? Because you had already decided you were going to charge Miss Reed with murder anyway.
Objection.
Yep.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, the determination did not matter as we continued on with the investigation.
Notwithstanding the medical findings in the case.
Karen Reed
correct?
looks
that
so
it was
displeased.
not determined to be a homicide, right?
Considering the manner, but
And that's because even though in the words of the prior group chat that this whole thing stinks, you were going to make it cut and dry by putting it on the girl, putting serious charges on the girl, notwithstanding what the medical examiner said, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
Yep. That's exactly what was happening.
You were actually asked this question, whether or not it would have an impact on your decision, notwithstanding what the medical examiner's decision was, correct? Your decision to charge her. Is that right?
yes.
On February 1st, 2024, you were asked, so what you're telling this grand jury today, and you expect this grand jury to believe that you didn't care whether the medical examiner came back with a homicide determination? It doesn't matter to you? And your answer, quote, no, because either way, Ms. Reed was going to be charged,
Oh.
right?
Correct.
Wow.
That's how you make a case cut and dry, isn't it?
Oh!
Objection.
Sustained.
Oh my God! Yes! 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 That is how you make a case cut and dry. You charge the girl no matter what. Who cares about the termination? Who cares about the facts? Who cares about the evidence? You don't have the evidence, plant it. You don't have the facts, make them up. You don't have the interviews, just conduct them willy-nilly 18 months after the fact. Doesn't matter. We got the girl, it's all we want, moving on. Thank you, Mr. Proctor. Jeez, I can't call him officer or trooper. He's a mister to me. Barely a mister. I'll just call him Michael. If I ever had the chance, I'd just be like, Mike. What's up, Mike? He disgusts me. He's a disgusting individual, and he is an absolute disgrace to the badge.
In other words, Trooper Proctor, to hell with the medical evidence. Karen Reed was going to be charged because that's what you had decided to do, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Look at how guilty he looks. Look at that. You decided this is what you're going to do. And rather than going like, absolutely not, he's just like, because he knows that's exactly what happened. He looks like a guilty puppy dog. Like in the reference that I made in a previous episode, if you remember. Did you eat the biscuit, Bruno? That's what he looks like. He looks like Bruno who ate the biscuit when nobody was looking.
I want to change gears for a second and ask you about some electronic data, specifically as it pertains to Jennifer McCabe. You're aware that Jennifer McCabe deleted texts and calls from her phone before she turned it over to you?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Were you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that.
Are you aware that there were texts and calls missing from her phone before having that phone turned over to you?
I'm not aware of that.
Did you look at the extraction report, the Celebrite extraction report from her phone?
I have, yes.
And you didn't see the columns marked deleted, 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 deleted?
No, not that area, no.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Not that area,
Not that area, meaning...
no.
what is that?
So where it says deleted, I just didn't look because it's not helpful to my case? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I don't know what you mean by not that area.
I went through the Celebrite report, but clearly I didn't review that tab.
You missed something?
So, as you sit here, you're unaware of whether or not multiple texts and multiple phone calls were deleted from her phone that you have in your possession?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I'm not aware right now, sir.
Wow. So other than doing an incomplete investigation, you're also turning a willful blind eye to the real facts of this case of the Cellbrite extraction by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You know, this is probably one of the most corrupt cops. He's up there with Mark Furman. He is the 21st century's Mark Furman. Straight up. This is unbelievable. This is absolutely unbelievable.
As the case agent, as the case officer, do you believe it might be important
Yeah.
to find out whether or not
Yeah.
that phone appeared to have been manipulated or altered in some way before it was turned over? Wouldn't that be something that you would normally do?
That'd be important.
But you didn't do it with Jim McCabe's phone.
I didn't personally handle that, no.
You're the lead investigator, bro.
Did you ever seize Nicole Albert's phone?
No,
Did you ever seize Brian Albert's phone?
no,
Colin Albert's?
no,
Chris Albert's?
no,
Julie Albert's?
no.
Wow.
Were you concerned
This is
that if you
powerful.
seized any or all of their phones, especially Colin, Julie, and Chris, that there might be some indicators that you knew them on those phones?
No, that thought never crossed my mind.
Oh.
But the fact remains, you never sought to seize any of those, did you?
No, I don't.
And you never asked, irrespective of what you saw in the Celebrite report, you never asked Jennifer McCabe whether or not that was a complete and thorough, a complete and accurate, I should say. Let me ask it a different way. Did you ever ask Jennifer McCabe whether or not she ever altered anything on her phone before turning it in?
I did not. Again, I didn't handle Miss McCabe's phone or do the cell phone extraction on it.
And by the way, isn't he lying? Unless someone else handled the phone, like he's saying. I believe Jennifer McCabe herself admitted openly in open court under oath that before turning her phone over, she asked if she can delete her own private conversations with her children, to which the police officer was like, yeah, sure, of course. You're more than permitted to delete your own personal conversations with your children, which is probably where all the incriminating evidence was hiding in the first place. But the police officer that she inquired said openly, yeah, you can delete it. She asked them, yeah, you can delete it. And they told her she can delete it. So either he's lying or he doesn't know, which I don't believe. So the conclusion is he's lying about something. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you are as furious and angry as I am at this lowlife of a man who is calling medical examiners whack jobs, who is saying, oh, hey, rookie mistake, buddy. Hey, you could have just let us know. Let us go fix it for you and fix it for the undetermined of the medical examiner and change it to homicide for you, huh? Oh my God, these people are just relentless. Like I said, he is the Mark Forman of the 21st century. We had Mark Forman last century. We have Trooper Proctor. Proctor will forever be remembered as one of the most corrupt police officers that I have ever encountered in my lifetime. That's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll learn something. And I will see you all in the next video. We're going to continue Michael Proctor tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Do not go anywhere. Don't forget. Bye, everybody.